Okay, so we're going to run through a checklist of our body positioning and the mental cues that we want to use to ensure that we have the best kick possible, the most power, the best technique. So to begin with, we want to make sure that we are lined up with the center line of our target, whether it's the bag in this instance or my pad man, the center line of the target passing through the center line of my stance. So here we are, and if you don't, fortunately for me, in the gym here we have adjoining the mats. If you don't have that, you can put a skipping rope down or a hand wrap down and run that from the center line of the target out between your stance. So I'm going to start with one foot on one side and the other foot on the other side. So what we want to do, we're going to work on the entry for our kick. And this is the most important part. If we don't get this right, then we're starting from a bad foundation and our kick won't be as solid. So what we want to do, step one, would be to take our lead leg and take a 45-degree step forward and out and open the inside of our ankle towards the bag. And I'm going to be up on my toes. So I step my lead leg forward. As I'm doing this, I'm going to bring my rear arm and touch my lead shoulder. My lead hand will drop somewhat down towards my pocket, and this is our start position. So we go from neutral boxing stance to start position, where I've opened my ankle towards the bag, I've taken a little step out, and my arm's in the right position. From here, I want to concentrate on using this arm. It's going to swing back, but it's going to pull my hip up towards the target. I'm not going to swing my arm open and open my chest up again. I need to try and fix my shoulder in the front position, and this arm is going to swing back and pull my hip up. So step in, my arms get into position. From here, my shoulder is going to be locked forward and just my hand that swings back. And as I do that, this swing back is going to pull my hip up and across the bag. So when I get to here, my kick lands, I need to be, the whole of my body is now past the center line of the bag, and it's just my leg that is trailing behind to ensure that all of my body weight is present and in the kick. So I step here, my arm pulls back, and my body moves up and across the bag. Some things we want to try and avoid when kicking is, one of them will be the kick having a very wide radius. So my kick does not need to travel around to the bag. Instead, what we want to focus on is leading my kick with my knee. So my knee is going to drive up, and then cut into the target. In this case, it's the bag. So I'm not going wide and around. I'm going to drive with my knee up and across the target and come back. On the point of impact, my knee and my hip should be past the center point of the line, the center line of the bag. So I'm going to step up, drive my knee up. My knee comes pretty much vertically up until just before impact, and then it's going to cut into the target. This way it's much harder to block, and it's a lot harder to read and see when in a live situation. So again, it comes up and then cuts in. And come back. And come back. Set my arms, pull my knee up and across, and then reset into my boxing stance. Another small detail that we need to focus on with kicking is that we have to step into our kick, so we have to step back out of range too. I don't want to throw my kick and then land in front of my target for him to be able to land a kick back or punch me back. So again, I'm stepping forward, entering my kick, I'm kicking, and then I'm going to pull myself back out again. I return back to where I started. So it's one step in, one step out. Back to my boxing stance, with that center line where it was in the beginning. So we have our step back out. Now we need to focus on what we're going to do with our arms as well, so that we're not flailing around after the kick. So I step in, I kick, and I pull my arm from the swinging position come straight back to my head, and I turn my knee back towards the target again. So I step in, I kick, I step back, my hand comes up, my foot comes back to facing my target, and back in my boxing stance. Hand back, foot back, back out of range.